Ms. Ellison was my favorite teacher. She was the kind of teacher who remembered everyone's birthday and taped gold stars to your papers even if you only got a C. When she announced her new perfect attendance club, nobody thought twice. "Consistency builds character," she said, grinning like she'd discovered the secret to life itself. Anyone who showed up every single day got a shiny red badge with gold lettering. Perfect attendance club member. At first it was fun. Members got pizza parties, special field trips, even gift cards. But then the rumors started. Trevor missed one day because of strep throat. He never came back. The office said he transferred schools, but his parents still lived in town. Then it was Rachel. Her desk sat empty for weeks, her books untouched. I didn't think much of it until I saw something strange. On my way to the bathroom one afternoon, I passed the janitor's closet and heard chanting, faint voices, reciting multiplication tables in perfect unison. I swear one of them sounded like Trevor. That's when I decided to find out what was really happening. One Friday, I slipped out of last period and hid in the hallway near Miss Ellison's classroom. She dismissed her regular students like normal, but the ones with badges stayed behind. "Perfect attendance, front and center," she sang. They lined up, obedient as soldiers, and followed her down the hall. Not one of them spoke. But check this out. I trailed behind, careful not to be seen. They didn't go toward the cafeteria or gym like I expected. Instead, Miss Ellison led them to the far end of the building, where the old storage basement was supposed to be locked. She pulled out a ring of keys and opened the door with a practiced flick. I slipped in after them. Before it closed, huge mistake. The air down there was damp, metallic. The single light bulb barely lit the stairwell, but I could hear shuffling feet ahead. I crept down, holding my breath. At the bottom, I found the truth. Rows of desks filled the basement, all facing a chalkboard. Kids I hadn't seen in weeks sat there, pale and hollow-eyed, their arms trembling as they scribbled into endless workbooks. Trevor was there, Rachel too. Their perfect attendance badges pinned to their shirts like shackles. "Eyes up front," Miss Ellison barked, her cheerful voice now sharp, cruel. She wrote equations on the board with frantic speed, laughing to herself. A flawless classroom. No absences, no tardies, perfect students forever. I nearly stumbled backward, but the sound caught her attention. "Who's there?" I froze. Dozens of heads turned toward me, eyes empty, as if begging me not to speak. Miss Ellison stepped closer, her smile stretching too wide. "Our new candidate." She brushed chalk dust from her hands. "You haven't missed a day, have you?" I bolted up the stairs before she could grab me. Behind me, the synchronized chanting rose again. Multiplication tables, recited with robotic precision. I never went back to school after that. My parents think I'm exaggerating, but I know what I saw. And every morning, without fail, Miss Ellison's class still fills up. The badges glint under the fluorescent lights, and no one else ever misses a day. I used to like biology, at least before Mr. Alcott took over. He wasn't even supposed to be our teacher. Our regular biology instructor went on sudden medical leave, and the school brought in this tall, sharp-featured man with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. At first, he was charismatic, cracking jokes and talking about how he wanted to prepare us for the real world. But that changed fast. The first time it happened, he wheeled in a steel tray with a pile of raw animal organs, hearts, lungs, kidneys, bloody and unwrapped, as if he'd scooped them straight from a butcher. He told us to dissect them in complete silence. No questions, no chatter, not even the sound of nervous laughter, just knives sliding through wet tissue. We thought it was gross, but maybe just unorthodox. Until he stopped bringing in animals. That's when the absences started. At first, nobody thought much of it. A kid got sick, another transferred schools, but after a week, the numbers added up. 5 missing students, all from our class, all marked absent indefinitely. Their lockers stayed shut, their names never mentioned in morning announcements. And then came the heart. It was a Friday. He rolled in the tray as usual, except this time there was only one object on it, A human heart, red and glistening, its valves twitching slightly, like it still remembered how to beat. He held it up between gloved hands, grinning like a magician, revealing his final trick. "Can anyone tell me what makes this one special?" he asked. No one spoke. My mouth was dry, my stomach turning over on itself. "You won't believe what happens next. This," he said, lowering it back onto the tray, "belonged to someone you know." The silence was worse than any scream. He looked at us one by one, his eyes sparkling, feeding on our fear. Then he clapped his hands together. "Extra credit," he announced. "Whoever volunteers to dissect it earns a guaranteed A for the semester." No one moved. We all stared at our desks, praying he wouldn't pick us. That's when he started walking between the rows, slow and deliberate, like a predator, choosing which animal to take down. "You see," he continued softly, "exams, grades, the future, none of that matters. What matters is knowledge, survival. You'll all thank me one day." He stopped at Tyler's desk. Tyler was the kind of guy who never backed down, always cracking jokes in class. But now, he looked like he was about to faint. "Tyler," Mr. Alcott said warmly, "front of the class. Show us what you've learned." Tyler shook his head. "No, I'm not touching that. But listen to this." For a moment, Mr. Alcott's smile faltered. Then just as quickly it returned. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, metal and sharp, a scalpel. "Then you'll be the lesson." Before any of us could react, he grabbed Tyler's wrist, forcing him down onto the desk. Tyler screamed, thrashing, but Mr. Alcott's strength was inhuman. We froze, every single one of us. No one moved to help. And then I realized, this is how the absences happened. He doesn't just teach anatomy, he creates it. That day we didn't go home when the bell rang. The door was locked, and the sound of Tyler's screaming still echoes in my head. Because the worst part, the heart on the tray hadn't been the last one. I didn't even deserve detention. That's what made it worse. The substitute, Mr. Hayward, tall and stiff, with those thick glasses that magnified his eyes too much, had written my name down without explanation. Along with 4 other kids, I was told to report to room 19 after the final bell. The weird part? None of us had ever heard of room 19. Our high school only went up to room 18. We joked about it in the hallway. "Maybe it's a broom closet," Jason muttered. But when Mr. Hayward appeared again, silent as ever, and motioned us down a back corridor, the laughter died off quick. The hallway wasn't one I'd ever noticed before. It felt wrong, narrower, darker, the overhead lights buzzing in a way that made your teeth itch. At the very end, a heavy grey door waited. Its metal handle looked newer than the rest of the school. A tarnished plaque read, "Room 19." Inside, it was nothing like a classroom. No desks, no windows, just cold cinder block walls and a bare cement floor. The door clicked shut behind us, with the sound of a lock sliding home. We stood there for a long moment. "Where's Hayward?" Natalie asked, hugging herself. "He'll come back," I said, though my voice shook. He didn't. Minutes stretched into hours. Our phones had no service, no clock, just silence and the faint dripping of water somewhere behind the walls. Eventually, Jason pounded on the door until his hands bled, but it wouldn't budge. That's when we noticed the scratches. Along the lower half of one wall, where the light from the overhead bulb barely reached, names had been gouged into the concrete. Dozens of them. Some were carved deep, others so faint they looked like claw marks. A few even had dates, years from decades ago. "These are students," whispered Natalie. She pointed at one I recognized. "Larry Myers, class of 92. My uncle went to this school back then. He'd vanished after sophomore year. The family never talked about it." "Okay, that's messed up," Jason said, backing away from the wall. It got worse. One by one, the names began glowing faintly, like the scratches were filled with dying embers. The overhead bulb flickered, dimmed, then snapped off entirely. We were plunged into darkness, except for the names burning faint red on the wall. And then we heard it. The sound of fingernails, fresh ones, dragging slowly across concrete right beside us. I scrambled to the door, pounding, screaming. My fist hit metal that felt hot, like it had been welded shut from the outside. I don't know how long we cried, or when Natalie's voice broke off mid-scream. When the light snapped back on, she was gone. Not a sound, just a brand new name scratched into the wall, still wet with blood. Natalie Pence. 2025. The rest of us stood frozen, our breaths coming shallow. And then the overhead speaker crackled on. A voice, calm and steady, Mr. Hayward's voice, filled the room. Detention isn't over until every name is added. Thanks for listening. Now close your eyes and sleep.